whether you are political or apolitical, is that the police should stand where the law stands.
Let me bring in Mr. Nwoye. Mr. Nwoye, you've heard his comments and you've heard the general reaction from various stakeholders. What is the role of your party in the crisis that is unfolding in Akwa Ibom State at the moment?
I think let's look at it holistically. The Akwa Ibom crisis is something that is a black spot in our country, in our democracy. And this brings to question the type of management of people you have managing a house. When people managing a house refuse to exercise restrictions, when those making law fail to obey laws that they make or laws that are already in existence, fail to obey a court order, and when illegality begets another illegality. So it's not a partisan thing. It is not about APC or PDP. It's a Nigerian thing. We've seen legislative rascality in various other states. We've seen it since the inception of democracy.
So I don't want us to speak in generalities. Looking at the Akwa Ibom situation, what is the role of your party in what we are seeing that is clearly a crisis that involves institutions of the state?
Our party, all we are trying to do in our party there, in Akwa Ibom, is ask for protection. You have 5 members or 6 members of House of Assembly who have their right of association, who have the right to defect, and they defected. That was not the first time defection had occurred. In most recent, we had defections in the federal houses, both the Senate and the House of Representatives, managed, both of which at the time were managed by APC, gentlemen, Saraki and Dagora. Nothing happened. They didn't declare any seats vacant. The party held on. Then when these 2 gentlemen also went by to PDP, there were defection from APC to PDP and PDP back to APC. Nothing happened. Then you get to Akwa Ibom, where you see what you might call a rubber stamp type of legislation that is going about beating the drum of someone else or dancing to the tune of an outsider.
Mr. Nwoye, let me just ask you directly. On what legal basis can 5 members of any State House of Assembly in this country, but particularly in Akwa Ibom, move into a State House of Assembly building and essentially declare the seat of the Speaker of that House of Assembly vacant and attempt also to impeach a governor? 5 members out of, I understand, 26. On what legal basis can your party justify such an action?
It is not a party justification. What has happened in Akwa Ibom is judicial, rather legislative rascality. When you have a court order, after they were declared, their seats were declared vacant, and later on they say the court order should stay. You have a speaker who is bound by law to obey the court order. He didn't obey the court order. He went outside the court order, went outside the rim, and declared the seat vacant, causing problem within the House. And then no one would justify illegality. Of course, the number doesn't match. You can't justify either what the Speaker did using a legal principle, a legal basis. So also you cannot justify what the 5 individuals did using any legal basis.
Do you appreciate the fact that the Nigeria Police Force, which is, like we've concluded here, a nonpartisan institution in theory, in practice, assisted these 5 lawmakers into the building to do what they did? How do you rationalize such a situation where a state institution is abetting what we all know is an illegal act?
No, it is not true that they assisted the 5 in doing any illegal act. Those 5 members have right to their seats, as there is subsisting court order where they say there should be stay of execution. What you saw might be accompanying them, preventing a breakdown of the law and order. The police have to go in to ensure that the law and order was not broken. The police have to go in also to enforce the court order. And the court order is clear. When they apply for a stay of execution, the judge found that the petition was meritorious petition and sustained it, allowing them to go back. So then you have a speaker who had thrown them out. And then you have a government personnel and an aide to the governor who went on air and said that the court order came too late. Well, it is not a building demolition. He used a legal basis to explain that it came too late, that the declaration of vacancy had occurred before. But that's not the position of the law. That's not the position of the law at all. Here you have an act which could be undone. It's just by utterance of the word that the seat is hereby declared vacant. Well, the seat is hereby declared vacant, but there's a court order that says you cannot declare those seats vacant because they have appealed. Allow the appeal to go through. So they instigated the crisis. You have a sitting government making justification for illegality.
Mr. Agbo, please respond.
Well, thanks for this. This is not the first time we're experiencing this. But I will want to restrict myself to this script that is being played and the consistency of it. There was this scenario in Benue where 7 out of 31 members of the State Assembly were aided by the police to go first to remove Speaker and suspend 23 others or 24 others, and to go ahead to put an impeachment notice on a sitting governor. The Constitution is clear. You don't need to be a Nigerian to take certain aspects, the provisions of the Constitution to read and appreciate it. That notice of impeachment on a sitting governor first must be signed by 1/3. And after 1 week, 2 weeks of response from a governor, you need 2/3 of such members for it to move any further from there. Let's come to basic statistics. Either the 6 out of 31 in Benue or 5 out of 26. You are talking about an average number that is less than 20%, not 33%. That is the 1/3 of any of the State Assembly. Here, for purposes of fielding our listening public with the facts of the case, 4 members of the State Assembly in Akwa Ibom earlier defected. They were sitting and carrying out their legislative duties without a proclamation of a vacancy on their seats. The 5th member that now decamped under all scenarios that didn't give room for it, felt he wanted to seek judicial protection, went to the Federal High Court here in Abuja, who refused his prayers and refused to grant and on the strength of that judgment, the Speaker declared his seat vis-a-vis the seat of the other 4. We must get this straight, that the Speaker just, because the member decamped to APC, went ahead and declared the seat vacant, that was not it. And so the scenario that my brother and friend here, Nwoye, wants to paint in terms of the shifts and movements that transpired in the National Assembly are totally not the same. In the case of the National Assembly, there were clear divisions within his party, which gave room for it. And that you cannot even pursue the declaration of vacancy of those seats in any court of law.
But Mr. Agbo,
but let's not go to the legality
Agbo,
of
no,
it.
You've mentioned something. It's very important. It's very important. If you're looking at the National Assembly and you're saying that there was division within the APC that allowed those defections to take place, the question is, even at that, there was a clear understanding amongst the general public that there was a precedent set by the Supreme Court of Nigeria to the effect that if there's going to be defections, if there's going to be declaration of vacancy, it must be proven that the party leadership is compromised by faction to the extent that it cannot function. At no time was the AP